So when you think of a hero sled dog, I bet one name just pops right into your head, right? The one with the movies, the statue in Central Park. But what if I told you that the story you know, it's really just the final scene of a much bigger, much more incredible movie, and that the dog who became a global celebrity wasn't the one who faced the absolute worst of it? Let's get into the real story.
Okay, picture this. It's 1925. The tiny, remote Alaskan town of Nome is completely cut off from the world, and a deadly diphtheria epidemic is tearing through it. The port is frozen solid. A monster blizzard has grounded all the planes. The only hope to get the life-saving medicine is a brutal 674-mile relay race against time, powered by nothing but teams of sled dogs.
Now, the whole world celebrated the dog who crossed that finish line, but was he really the one who did the lion's share of the work? Did he run the most dangerous leg of the journey? We're about to peel back the layers on this famous legend and find out who the real hero was.
And here he is. This is the dog everybody knows, Balto. He and his musher completed that final leg of the serum run, and for that, Balto became an international superstar. His story was told over and over, and he got that famous statue. He was, the face of the mission. But his part of the story? That's just the tip of the iceberg. To really understand what happened, we need to go back, way back.
You see, the story of these amazing dogs doesn't start in Alaska in 1925. Nope. It begins thousands of years earlier with an indigenous people, the Chukchi, living in one of the most unforgiving landscapes on the entire planet, northeastern Siberia.
So let me introduce you to the Chukotka Sled dog. This is the original, the blueprint. For literally millennia, the Chukchi people were selectively breeding these dogs, crafting an animal that was perfectly designed to not just survive, but to actually thrive in the Arctic. They are the direct ancestors of the dog we all know today as the Siberian Husky.
And their history is just incredible. For over 3,000 years, they were perfected. In the 1800s, their speed and stamina were so legendary, they actually helped the Chukchi outrun and resist Russian forces. Then, in 1908, they land in Alaska. At first, people laughed at them, called them Siberian rats, because they were smaller than the local dogs. Well, they weren't laughing for long, because these rats went on to absolutely dominate the grueling All-Alaska Sweepstakes race in 1910.
But here's the real secret sauce. What made these dogs so special was their relationship with the Chukchi people. They weren't just tools for hunting and transportation. They were family. They shared meals, they slept inside the home, and this deep, close bond totally shaped the breed. It favored a friendly, cooperative spirit on top of that insane endurance and intelligence. That partnership, that's what created the perfect sled dog.
And don't just take my word for it, their skill was recognized by the very best. The legendary polar explorer Roald Amundsen, he specifically sought out these dogs for his own expedition to the North Pole. The reputation was, simply put, second to none.
But right here, the story takes a really sharp turn. Because the moment these dogs left Siberia, their family tree split right in two. One branch was about to find worldwide fame, while the other, the original, was pushed right to the edge of disappearing forever.
This great divide happened in 1930. The Soviet Union just slammed the door shut, stopping all exports. And in that exact same year, the American Kennel Club officially recognizes the Siberian Husky breed. So while the Huskies' fame explodes in America, back in their homeland, the original Chukotka sled dog population just collapses under Soviet policies. It got so bad that by the late 80s, there were fewer than 400 purebreds left. Just think about that. Two identical dogs, separated by politics with completely different destinies.
So, okay, how does all of this history tie back to that serum run in 1925? Well, knowing where these dogs came from lets us see that whole relay in a brand new light. It's time to talk about the dog who ran the longest, most dangerous part of the whole journey, the dog that history pretty much forgot.
His name was Togo. His musher was the legend himself, Leonard Seppala, the guy who had first shown Alaska just how superior these Siberian dogs were. When the emergency call went out, Seppala knew exactly who to turn to. Leading his team was his most trusted, his smartest, and, at 12 years old, his most experienced dog, Togo.
261 miles. Just let that number sink in. That is the insane distance Togo and Seppala covered. They charged 170 miles out from Nome to meet the incoming serum, grabbed it, and then turned right around and ran another 91 miles back with it, all through a raging blizzard.
In Balto, his team ran the final leg into town,
a very respectable and still very, very difficult 55 miles. It was absolutely crucial, no doubt, but it was just one part of a much bigger chain.
When you look at the numbers, it's just stark. Togo's team ran nearly 5 times the distance of Balto's. They carried that serum through the absolute worst of the storm, across the most dangerous terrain imaginable. But believe it or not, the distance alone doesn't even tell the whole story.
Because inside that 261-mile trek is one of the most incredible things you'll ever hear about an animal. I'm talking about the crossing of the Norton Sound. It was a shortcut, yeah, but it was a deadly one. A huge expanse of unstable, cracking sea ice in the middle of a blinding gale.
Okay, so at this one critical point, the line connecting the team's ice floe to the safety of the shore ice, it snaps. They're stranded, drifting out to sea. Without a single command from Sapala, Togo, understanding the danger they were in, just leaps into the frigid Arctic water, grabs the broken line in his teeth, and wraps it around his own body to make a harness, and then he pulled. He pulled the entire ice floe with all of his teammates and Sapala on it, back to safety. That's not just endurance, folks. That is mind-blowing intelligence.
So you have to ask, why did Balto get all the glory? Honestly, it was pretty simple. He was the dog on the team that physically arrived in Nome. The reporters were there, they snapped their photos, and that became the story. But in the years since, history has slowly started to set the record straight.
Togo actually did get some recognition during his lifetime. He and Sapala toured the U.S., and Roald Amundsen himself awarded him a gold medal. But what's even more important is his legacy. In retirement, he became a foundational sire. Almost all Siberian Huskies today can trace their roots back to those early imports and directly back to heroes like Togo. He literally helped build the very breed he also helped save.
And today, the verdict is pretty clear. In 2011, Time magazine named Togo the most heroic animal of all time, stating flat out that he, not Balto, did the lion's share of the work. The true hero is finally getting his due.
From the ancient Chukchi people who crafted this amazing breed to the nearly forgotten courage of a 12-year-old lead dog on the breaking ice, this is a story about looking past the headline. And it leaves you with a question, doesn't it? How many other heroes are out there just waiting in the shadows for their real story to finally be told?